Today, we're going to be learning about an SCP called the Red Pool that can actually spawn in more SCPs. Here we go, boys.
An Air Canada flight experiences severe malfunction.
Oh, they are going down, dude. They are going all the way down to the ground.
Unable to do anything, and the plane
Look at them panicking.
Of northern Alberta. The crash was devastating. Only 10 of the nearly 300 people on board are alive.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Even though they survived the initial
Are you
disaster,
serious?
Their battle for life has only just begun.
This is like the plot of the TV show Lost.
Canada, and there's no telling when help will arrive, if at all. If the survivors want to make it through the night, they need to find shelter, and fast.
I feel so bad for these people.
Woods, the group finds a path that looks like it might lead them to civilization. After all, if there was a path in the woods, that meant they were probably in a national park. And if they were in a national park, there had to be a ranger station around
yeah, good thinking.
Warm up and call for help.
Okay, guys, comment down below what you would do if you were in a plane crash and you were with like a bunch of random strangers in the middle of nowhere. Would you stay and wait for help, or would you try to venture out into the wilderness and try to find maybe fresh water, maybe some food, or maybe even people that can go get help for you? Let me know in the comments.
They didn't have many other options, so they followed the path which opened up to a clearing. But instead of finding a ranger station or campground, they found something none of them could have expected.
It's the Red Pool.
But there was something off about it.
Guys, imagine being in a plane crash and then you run into one of the deadliest SCPs of all time. That is so scary.
The survivors were horrified. That couldn't really be blood, could it? It must have been a weird algae or chemical reaction. But one member of the group, a man named Thomas Dean, who had been on his way back to his hometown of Prince George, British Columbia.
Is he like some sort of SCP expert?
Strangely familiar about this.
Interesting.
He remembered being a boy and going to visit family in Alberta, and hearing an urban legend from the older local kids. According to the stories, somewhere out in the wilderness, in the northern part of the province, there was a pond full of human blood. And what made it even worse was that some said the pond was a gateway to hell. The SCP Foundation
that is exactly what it is, ladies and gentlemen.
And had been trying to pinpoint the exact source of it for decades prior to the Air Canada crash. They would finally receive definite confirmation of the blood pond when Foundation personnel intercepted a radio transmission from a ranger station located within the Wood Buffalo National Park. It was the survivors of the crash who had managed to make it through the night.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so these people obviously survived, but the one guy that heard of the urban legend, he actually is spot on. This SCP, for those of you guys that don't know, actually can spawn in other SCPs. They're like a subclass of this SCP, so there's SCP-354-1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and some of them are like as crazy as you can think. So these people are in for a rude awakening. I do not want to be these people. I feel so bad for them.
They were about to be escorted out of the park by rangers. The Foundation mobilized quickly to cordon off the pond, as at the time they were unsure of what potentially harmful properties the pond might have had. They set up watch station.
Oh wow, so the people actually got out okay. That's amazing.
The pond was given the designation of SCP-354 and classed as Euclid. Foundation scientists made a number.
So for those of you guys that haven't seen an SCP video, Euclid class basically means that it's like a neutral sort of thing. It's kind of like a Minecraft spider. If you leave it alone and stay away from it, it's not going to do anything to you. But if you engage with it, it has the potential to turn deadly.
Of interesting discoveries about SCP-354 when they collected samples for testing. First, the pond was not in fact full of blood.
What actually is it?
An organic liquid that closely resembles blood in color and consistency.
Oh, weird.
Second, and even stranger than the red liquid, is that the pond doesn't seem to have any definite banks or a bottom. Instead,
there's
the liquid
no
in the pond increases
bottom?
in density as the radius away from the center increases. The liquid congeals at the edges, becoming more solid and blending into the surrounding soil.
Oh wow, so this could like take over the world. Honestly, it's infinite.
The pond has not yet been reached, if it even exists.
Whoa.
Initially, the Foundation found no signs of life within the blood pond.
Until something happens.
On the day following the opening of Watch Station.
Oh, I'm ready for this.
When the science team noticed an unusual level of activity on the pond's surface, security footage feeds showed a shape
There's the
rising out
first
of the pond,
creature.
followed by a deafening shriek. After that, the feed was cut and Foundation lost all communication with Watch Station Epsilon 38. Fearing the worst, a mobile task force was dispatched to the location. When they got there, all personnel at the Watch Station had been killed by what could only be described as a gigantic bat.
That thing is huge. That's like the size of 5 people.
And as soon as they could, the Foundation moved in to increase security around the SCP.
I mean, yeah,
creating
that's the
Area
smartest thing to do.
354 and installing a permanent security detail. After this point, the pond started to regularly spit out a variety of monstrous entities, almost as if it was reacting to the SCP Foundation's increased security measures. After SCP-354-1, the giant bat, came SCP-354-2.
They get even worse.
354-2 was an echidna-like monster the size of a bear.
Wait, is that like
was
an
virtually
armadillo?
bulletproof but unable to escape
What?
Area 354. The Foundation neutralized this anomaly with napalm. SCP-354-3 was a floating
Okay,
black
what
sphere
is
capable
that?
of firing deadly beams of concentrated energy. The area's head scientist was able to hit it with a sledgehammer, causing the sphere to malfunction and self-destruct before it was able to escape.
Okay, guys, the first two kind of made sense. You know, they were like animals, or at least like variations of animals. There was a bat, there was like a bear-like armadillo. This one is a lot different. So I thought for a second that this SCP only spit out like really, I don't know, like Godzilla forms of like normal animals, like just giant versions of any type of animal that we already know about. But this one's different. This one is like a cyborg sphere that has electric abilities. So I wonder like how it decides what to send out from the red pool.
Area. The Foundation wasn't as lucky with SCP-354-4.
Is that a dragon?
This creature was a reptilian humanoid that stood roughly 15 feet tall and was unable to be
It's
put
Joe
down
Biden.
with gunfire. This was the first creature from the pond to
Oh my
successfully escape
God.
containment and was only
You
able to
gotta
be
be kidding
neutralized
me.
when the Foundation sent in Mobile Task Force Omega-7, also known as
Oh,
Pandora's
nice.
Box. The data on pond incursions is partially corrupted, so a complete list of creatures is not available.
I do know for a fact that there's more than just 4 creatures. So they said that the list is not available. There are definitely more creatures from the red pool. I know for a fact too, I'm pretty sure there's like some sort of fire and ice tiger. So I'm curious if we're going to see that. I also am pretty sure that there might be some sort of like Terminator cyborg that comes out of the red pool.
But some of the other monsters
Yup,
that came out of the
there it
blood
is.
pond include
Literally,
a robot,
as I
a
said
set of
it.
gigantic
And the
tentacles that dragged
octopus.
several D-class personnel into the pond. A pair of panther-like creatures,
There it is.
one made of ice and the other of magma, that ignored Foundation staff and instead fought each other.
What
And
is
one
this
seemingly
dude?
normal human man who was executed as soon as he emerged from the pond.
He walked up like, hey guys, I've been stuck there for years. I'm totally normal. And they were like, not a chance. Boom. You're dead.
Tests on his body revealed that he was, in fact,
Oh my
totally normal
gosh, he
and
was
would have
normal?
posed no threat.
You gotta
These
be
anomalies
kidding
came
me.
out of the pond at fairly regular intervals for several months, before the pond went silent for an unprecedented 22 months. The head scientist
so
at the time
weird and
noted,
random.
I suspect this means one of two things. Either the red pool has died or powered down,
Huh.
whatever the correct term for
There's
it
no
is,
way that it
or
died.
is charging up for something big to
I
come through.
feel like it
Both
might be
believes
charging
the
up.
former is the most likely explanation, and has recalled 30% of our total personnel and cut 25%
Really?
of our funding.
So they think that
While
it's
I can only
powering
hope
down.
that they are correct. If the latter situation is true, we're soon to face some terrible monstrosity, and we won't have anywhere near the force necessary to deal with it.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure that the most deadly thing to come out of the red pool are like these giant octopus tentacles. That's like the biggest thing that I know of that comes out of the red pool. But what they're saying is that it might be powering up to unleash something even bigger.
I worry for all of our safety. His words would prove eerily prophetic following the events of Exploratory Mission 354 Alpha. The Foundation's research and development team built a specialized craft
Whoa.
to explore the pond. Because of the strange properties of the pond's
It has a
density,
drill
the craft
on
was
it?
essentially made to be both
That's
a submarine
sick.
for parts of the pond where the contents were liquid, and a drill for when the liquid congealed into a semi-solid towards the bottom. The exploration team consisted of Agent Swanson, Agent Turquoise,
they all
Agent
dead.
86,
They all
Dr.
gonna
Jay
die.
MacArthur, Chris
R.I.P..
Simmons, Leroy Tucker, and a pilot named
Who is
Martin.
Agent
With the team
86?
assembled,
That's such
the
a
ship was
random
sent
name.
down into
That's
the
like
pond.
Elon Musk's
Nothing
son.
eventful happened for the first 2 days of the mission, but at 4:30 a.m. on the third day,
Wha-
gravity
whoa.
suddenly reversed for the crew of the ship. This
Wait
seemed
a
to indicate that
second.
They were approaching the halfway point, though what would be on the
Gravity
other side, nobody
went
could say.
away?
On the fourth day, the ship
Huh?
surfaced, proving
Wait, what?
definitely that the pond was in fact some sort of portal. The crew looked out of the portholes to see the darkness of night above them. While sensors outside the
Hold
ship
on.
detected nothing harmful in the atmosphere around them, the crew were wary of exiting the
So it really is just a portal to a different SCP dimension that has these insane creatures. It's kind of like the Upside Down in Stranger Things.
craft. The other side of the pond was nothing like the world the crew knew. For one thing, The night lasted for 28 hours before dawn came, and when the sun finally rose, it was much larger and redder than the Earth's sun.
That's their
Under
sun.
the light of the strange
Holy
red star,
smokes.
the crew could see that the pond on this side was massive compared to what they've come into, more like a large lake. Surrounding the lake was sand and rocks that were covered in a kind of moss that disappeared under sunlight and regrew during the night. The team left the ship and started to explore.
Wait. They left the ship? Did they not see the creatures coming out from the other side of this? Like, they should be way more prepared. I know that they have like this like top awesome secret agent task force, but like seriously, they should be bringing like way more than just 8 agents. They should have like SEAL Team 6 in there.
A strange world, they found that the day lasted just a few hours shorter than the night, meaning that whatever planet they were on had a roughly 43-hour-long rotation as opposed to our own planet's 24.
So it has to be a lot bigger than planet Earth.
On their expedition, including razor-sharp grass that can puncture skin and streams of liquid carbon dioxide.
Okay, that's terrifying.
They heard some loud roars in the distance once or twice, but other than that, the planet was eerily silent, with seemingly no animal life and not even wind.
I mean,
When
something
it rained,
really bad
the
is about to
soil
happen.
ran dry, and based on that, the scientists theorized the plants in this world were more efficient at absorbing moisture. On the 25th day, the team ran into a huge metal wall that appeared to be artificially constructed. Luckily, Leroy Tucker, a quick-thinking researcher, was able to rig a blowtorch from camping supplies and melt a hole through the metal. On the other side, there was finally
Guys, I feel like these SCP investigator dudes are like way too comfortable right now. They are going into the unknown, and I don't see a single AK-47 on any one of these guys.
And odd black grass. That's the extent of what is known about the other side of the wall.
That's it?
Because the expedition logs are heavily corrupted after that point. But we know that whatever was in there wasn't good, because the team never returned. Strangely,
okay, so they
there's no
saw
record of any
something
names
horrible
mentioned in the ship's log, almost as if being killed on the other side completely erased them from history. No other expeditions into the pond were launched after that.
Did they die there?
Date, a year following the discovery of the Blood Pond and construction of Area 354, the site was completely evacuated, and power was cut to the area. Mobile task force.
Wait a second. They completely abandoned the site where like these underground purgatory monsters were coming out of. I feel like that is, I don't know, a little bit weird. They should definitely leave at least a few people there to monitor the situation. Like, what if actual, like, I don't know, the devil comes out of there, or Godzilla, or something even worse than those two combined? Like, somebody should be there just in case.
The 12 was dispatched to investigate the cause of the evacuation, but before contact could be established, the area's on-site nuclear warhead was detonated.
They have a nuke?
Destroying the site.
Wait,
MTF
but
Theta 12
what about
was
the
then
Red
attacked
Pool?
by a convoy made up of D-class and other low-ranking staff who
Wait,
had evacuated
what?
Area 354.
Guys, I've never seen this. They're fighting each other.
Within the site, and that a dissolution of the chain of command had led to its evacuation and destruction.
I've never seen this
the convoy
before.
Totally annihilated MTF Theta 12.
Are you serious?
And no further contact with the former personnel of Area 354 has been made since.
Dude,
Following
this
the
is
site's
crazy.
detonation, a new site was constructed called simply the Red Pool Containment Site. Unlike the previous facility, which focused on research and neutralization, the new site is entirely concerned with containment.
I mean,
The
yeah,
shift
that's
and directive
smart.
Came as a response to the pond's apparent reactive nature. Each creature that emerged from the pond seemed to be in retaliation to the Foundation's actions. And
So, okay, what they're saying is that as long as they leave the pond alone, that it won't attack them, which is why it's a Euclid class. As long as you leave anything that's like a Euclid class alone, then it won't try to fight back.
It was theorized by some that the mutiny at Area 354 was triggered by some kind of psychic attack from the pond itself. An interview in the SCP file on 354 reveals that there was one more disastrous attempt to control and understand.
Oh boy, here we go.
According to an interview with a Foundation agent, the head doctor proposed a scheme to drain the blood pond using a system of pumps and hoses.
That's a horrible
All non-essential
idea.
Personnel were evacuated in case of emergency, leaving only the pump technicians, D-class personnel,
They're dead.
and a few agents.
They're
for
gonna
security.
die. They're gonna
However,
perish.
As soon as the pump was
They're gonna get
scheduled to be
yeeted.
turned on, everyone at the site experienced a mass dissociative episode.
Okay, so the Red Pool does have some sort of psychic property. I don't know if it's maybe like a chemical that it releases or what, but it can take over your mind on top of releasing the most crazy creatures of all time. This thing is honestly, this is one of the craziest SCPs that we've ever investigated.
described the feeling they all experienced as like being in a dream and suddenly realizing that you're asleep. He said, "Everything stopped being real. It was like we had to escape right now." When asked what happened when the pump was turned on, he simply explained that it wouldn't let them. This interview confirmed the theory that the pond is not only capable of releasing monsters out into our world, but also that it's capable of powerful but much more subtle psychological attacks. This suggests a chilling possibility, that the pond isn't just blindly reacting to being attacked, but it's fully sentient. And the actions of the SCP Foundation have only served to annoy it.
It has like a brain, and it can think.
Banks have proved evidence that the area of congealed liquid around the perimeter of the pond has been steadily expanding. That's right.
Okay, so
the pond is
going to
bigger.
take over the world. It's what I'm hearing.
At the site said before being dragged out of the interview and sedated was, "It gets bigger and stronger every day, and now we've made it angry."
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I never thought that I would be scared of a pool, but yeah, today is just a typical Wednesday for me. This is what happens when we watch SCP videos